Can you name one female Renaissance artist? Before doing research for this speech, I was unable to, even though I was familiar with some of their pieces. Growing up, we're all taught about art, and we know a few artists, but none of them are women, despite them being talented artists at their time. Women throughout history have been powerful, despite the limitations placed on them, and have repetitively shown they are able to accomplish the same achievements as their male counterparts, even when society is designed against them. The requirements they had to meet, the laws set against them, the accomplishments they achieved, and how they are remembered is what makes them so admirable to me. The world during the Renaissance and in other times was not designed to benefit women. They were generally expected to follow the societal ideals of how women were supposed to be. As Dr. MacDonald in Smart History notes, respectable women were supposed to be pious, virtuous, obedient to God, their husbands, and their fathers. They failed to meet these expectations, it could ruin their careers. Art in the Renaissance heavily depended on education, and women were not very educated. There were also very few opportunities for women in apprenticeships. If these women could have received that education, they could have become great artists. However, women were prohibited from learning things like math and anatomy that would have aided them significantly. Despite their limitations, women in the Renaissance were still able to flourish in their careers. Women achieved impressive positions and received plenty of commissions. From court painters, which was a position usually only held by men, and a few artists mastering multiple disciplines like poetry, music, and writing, as well as training other artists. They balanced their careers while still being mothers, specific examples being Rachel Rych, who was a mother of 10 as well as a court painter, and Sophonisba and Gisela, a painter in King Philip II of Spain's royal court. They are recognized for their talents and they held positions reflecting that. The recognition brings me to my last point. Despite their hard work and proficiency, women were not remembered well in art history. Throughout art history, as Dr. MacDonald notes, art historians heavily linked great art with masculinity, which led female artists to often being overlooked. And because their titles had to be adjusted according to their gender, sometimes pieces were misidentified and accredited to the wrong artists despite them being similar to their other works. These artists were excluded from history, and while they were able to achieve the same accomplishments. In summary, the obstacles these women had to work around, despite the way they have been remembered, is what makes them impressive to me. Though forgotten, these women's achievements and the reputation they built in a time where the art world worked against them shows the resilience of women throughout history. When history is recorded, we need to remember these women and the impact they've made in their fields. They are part of history, and excluding that is ignoring that women have always worked very hard to make their place in history.